This is an artist that has been called out before, that is being called out again for doing the same thing. This is a tweet posted by Twitter user Tiru Pancake, where Tiru writes, "How far is somebody willing to go to fake not using AI? Misui, aka Foam, is deceiving people and taking commissions for $200 without telling their clients they use AI. I would never accuse somebody of AI without proof, so I compiled all the evidence here." And linked is a Google Doc. So the doc starts, "Skilled artists spawning out of thin air." This is regarding the user Misui. They're tricking people into thinking they do art from scratch when they're using the assistance of AI by tracing over generated images and taking $200 commissions without disclosing it. I am not claiming these as absolute facts, but rather substantial evidence. I understand some points might be perceived as far fetched by people without digital art experience, but I'll provide my perspective as somebody who's been doing digital art for about 14 years now. I don't like making accusations like this, but hopefully by the end of this document, you will understand why I believe this account is using AI. Ever since AI art became a thing, there have been hundreds of new artists, in quotes, of decent skill popping up on social media without previous history of online activity. But even if an artist changes usernames or create a new account for any reason, you will be able to trace their online presence somehow. There are no social media accounts associated with the username Misui or similar outside of Twitter. Their account doesn't link to any other sites. It's very rare for somebody to show up one day with this apparent skill level and no previous following, or at least other art friends. There are no records of the specific artist making art before 2025. You can't look at the natural art skill improvement over time to see their growth and how they reach their skill level, as everything available in this has been drawn and posted within the past month. Artists nuking their accounts and old art is not uncommon, but you will still be able to trace back their art and username. Later, I found evidence of this account having multiple alts and their constant reluctance to show full evidence when they were approached with claims and deleting stuff, and doubling down and becoming hostile to the claims like another AI tracer user, Preview. And I've talked about Preview already on my YouTube channel. Basically, Preview has very, very suspicious looking artwork, and when called out, Preview called everybody sheep and called them peasants. So back to the doc, Tiru continues, "These alt accounts, all made during the same 2023 to 2025 period, also use AI without disclosing it and deny all claims. Alts aside, maybe they've been drawing for a while but never share their art online, and sure, it might be the case. Some people don't care about sharing their work on social media, so I will talk about why I don't think this is the case. By the way, I want to add, if you are somebody that has all of these, like you didn't post for a long time, you draw in private, and then you finally started posting, I can't speak for Tiro, but I'm sure the sentiment is this doesn't apply to you, okay? It's only because their art already looks super suspicious and then compounded with all this extra stuff that makes everything kind of sus. So the doc starts first, no art style consistency. They deleted the artwork on the left and a few others after being called out because I can only assume it didn't match the style of new artworks they were posting. The left was also their old profile photo. So here we can see some side-by-sides, left versus right. Here is some Shy Lily fan art, left versus right. And it adds both artworks are now deleted. I also just want to add another thing. This doesn't mean you traced AI, but one thing that you will see with AI tracers, right, is a lack of consistency in the skin tone. They somehow don't get the face and the body skin tone the same. Like the body is always some other shade. Now, some people in real life, they wear foundation, whatever, makeup, and it does make their face a different skin tone than their body. Maybe it's a bad spray tan, etc. But typically, artists don't draw that. The doc continues, I will not be pointing out the overall inconsistencies in the art here, because by choosing a doodle style, they can just say it's messy. I only mean to show fluctuation in the face art style. An artist of this apparent level would already have a consistent face style that makes the art recognizable, even if the eye shape changes. As mentioned before, they noticed this was a possible red flag and deleted artworks where the face style didn't match their new ones. From the 3 images below, only the center one hasn't been deleted. And as you can see in these 3 images, it's very different, right? Mainly you can look at the eyes here, the way they draw the eyes, and you could argue, okay, maybe they're different people, right? So somebody might have like a more rounder eye shape, more elongated, but even in the finer details, it's different. The way they draw the eyelashes is different. This one, they tend to render the thinner eyelashes with a bit of light color here in the very inner corners, which isn't featured in the other eyes. And if you look at the lower lashes, right, they do draw lower lashes, but in this piece, they tend to draw like a bunch of little triangles, and then it's kind of filled in with what looks to be similar to the iris color, which isn't something done in the other eyes. Even the way the iris is rendered is very different. Now again, this doesn't mean you can't experiment with your art style as an artist, but back to Teru's point, somebody of this skill level typically has already kind of like locked in their style. They might experiment here or there, but there's gonna be some relative consistency across the board. Point 2, general AI looking elements in the art. There are some errors that could have been corrected during the paint over phase, but were either ignored either to release the art faster or due to lack of technical skill. Again, I won't go into detail and point out all of them in every art piece they've posted so far, because they could claim it's the sketchy doodle messy style or use the info to adapt and trace the art better. So here we have this piece where there is a red reflection in the hair, but the red reflection doesn't match slash make sense with what's happening. Here, the boob shadow, yeah. What is the shape of the boob shadow here? The doc continues, their style chosen is sketchy on purpose because it's harder to tell with untrained eyes, as the user doesn't need to keep a consistent line weight or line structure on each art piece, or cast shadows. They could just claim it's uneven or different on each piece because their style is messy. For those who aren't aware, this is how good AI has gotten at rough styles too. And here are 3 pieces from known AI accounts who confirm in their bio that they use AI. Next point, AI users ignore critical character design elements. Highlight or hair streaks don't match official art placement, and shapes don't match the drawn character's original hairstyles. There are missing key design elements like eyebrow color and thickness. This can only be attributed to an artist's personal style so many times. So here we kind of have top, which is Misui's art, and below is the references. So in the left character, hair is odd, as in the character has very, very prominent like side swooping bangs with a black tip at the very end of the bangs. The black tip, it's placed much, much higher in Misui's piece. Also, Misui gave the character side bangs, like the very stereotypical kind of like anime side bangs, which actually isn't present on this character. This is not in the doc, but this is just me being a little nitpicky. The colors are a bit off. You could argue maybe the colors are off due to the artist's design choices, which we could argue, right? The markings on the face are almost pure black on this character, and they're a very, very light gray on Misui's artwork. Also, the character's horns are very, very like straight pointed. And in Misui's piece, they've actually curved the horns, which is also wrong. These are nitpicky, but we're looking in the context of this art piece. Secondly, we have the middle character. And once again, they gave the middle character really, really blunt side bangs, like a hime cut essentially, which the character doesn't have. If you notice with all of them, the eye colors don't match. In the middle character, they have like 2 red horns, and the red horns are placed much, much lower on Misui's art piece than it actually is located on the character. You could argue they gave the character bunny ears. It could be to make up for the placement of the bunny ears. They just had to move the horns a little bit. But all the hair clips are also missing. And then we have the character on the very right, a white hair character with 2 pigtails. The pigtail is really thick on Misui's art piece, and it's very, very thin on the character. Also, the character has very notably thick and dark black eyebrows, and their eyebrows are super thin. It's not mentioned in the doc, but I would argue they also messed up the bangs as well, because it looks like here, if you look at this side, right, there's like longer chunks for the bangs. It looks like this character, once again, has really short side bangs, like cut to the cheek, and this character has kind of like side bang pieces, but they're really long. The doc continues, characters are usually drawn wearing simple clothes like pajamas or swimsuits. Accessory elements are mostly ignored or don't match the shape accurately. Small details like beauty marks are easy to edit and add on top, but not major elements. For VTubers with big amount of fan art, the AI model might make out the hair shape more accurately to the source, which would explain why Shy Lily has the most consistent hair shape between all of these. But even if you look at Shy Lily or their piece of Shy Lily, there's again inaccuracies. Shy Lily has 2 pieces of white on both sides of the face, and they put white in the blunt part of her bangs, which isn't there. And then here we have another side by side where the shape of the bat is also very off. Again, really short side bangs where the character once again has longer side pieces, and the eye color is very off. The doc continues, time-lapse inconsistencies. To go into the work in progress and time-lapse point, I can assume they're using Clip Studio on a mobile device based on the following screenshot, which you can see here on the left. I will be pointing out some of the time-lapse inconsistencies from the perspective of an artist who also uses Clip Studio Paint. I won't be pointing all of them out in case this info is used by them or other grifters to adapt their methods and avoid getting caught if they make new accounts. They've done this before already, so I apologize, I won't go into detail. The issue might not seem that obvious to somebody who is not an artist or doesn't have experience. If you are an artist and are skeptical after seeing all of this, please DM me and I will explain further. I'm gonna assume these time lapses are not edited, but for those who don't know, there are now methods to generate entire AI art time lapses, so the time lapse speed paints are no longer considered irrefutable proof. This is a site called Paints Undo, which can fake speed paints. This is something that I've already talked about prior, but as you can see here, the speed paints are still very like choppy when you look at it. Going forward, note that it is possible to hide layers from showing in Clip Studio Paint time lapses, similar to Procreate.
Here's a way to make a time-lapse video in Clip Studio Paint without having to show your reference or sketch layer.
Press and hold on the desired layer to become hidden.
So I didn't know this, but apparently you can press and hold on the layer, go under selection from layer, create a selection. Oh, I'll have this video linked down below as well. I'm muting it just because there's some audio in the background, but you select your line art layer and then you go to selection from layer, create selection, and then you turn your selection into a layer, and then you can change the properties of the layer color. And then they're going in and paint bucketing over the art piece. And now they're showing us the time lapse. And here, if you look at the time lapse, you can't actually see that layer. What? I use Clip Studio Paint. I didn't even know this was possible. Yeah, and this is posted to YouTube by user Unji Art. So the doc continues. This is the first time lapse they posted in this account during August 15th after being called out for AI usage. So here they show a sketch, they show the color, and they show the rendering. By the way, I'm not clicking any of their links because they've deleted their account. But here is a GIF version that was added to the documents. And the doc continues, having exported many times before with Clip Studio Paint, I noticed some discrepancies here. First, I have to point out that Clip Studio Paint time lapses don't show when you flip the canvas. This doesn't transform the actual canvas, only the current view. In order for that flip to show, as you saw in the GIF, there was a flip, you would have to use a transform tool to select the area and then select flip horizontally. For those who aren't familiar with digital art, this is different from the flip canvas system available in the navigation menu. This is something they started doing on this time-lapse specifically. Why am I implying that this is supposedly their first time-lapse posted? I'll cover that in a bit and I'll show you what previous time-lapses not available in this account look like. So back to the first time lapse. And yeah, I also want to add, to do that, like, a lot of artists will flip their canvas to kind of like, make sure the proportions look right. You typically don't select all of your art piece, then transform it horizontally by flipping it through the transform tool, working on and then flipping that again, because that only flips like that one specific layer. It doesn't flip your entire canvas. Almost always, but very, 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 very commonly, pieces that are this rendered use more than one layer. So it just is easier to do it the canvas way. By 7 seconds, all the flat areas are filled automatically. Not another way would be copy pasting layers from a separate canvas they have open on the side. Based on the length of this time lapse, this is not possible to do in a single second, especially the detailed hair strokes. Understandably, after they got accused of using AI, they started posting more work in progresses. In the second time lapse, they finally started using the liquify tool, but only once during the sketch phase. It was never used again later. They made sure to spend longer coming up with a sketch draft compared to the previous time lapse. And you can see them drafting the color layers too, so they could post a work in progress screenshot. There are two layers, the sketch and the base white, which means the canvas flipping was done in the transform tool. They would need to select both layers. This is not the usual method for artists to flip their art, as the navigator flip is faster and one click. And it would be more tedious to use the transform for the entire thing, especially being on mobile. Clicking the selection tool, making the selection of each layer, selecting scale rotate, and then finally flipping. More importantly, despite all the sketch prep phase, which lasted 11 time-lapse seconds, the flat color layers magically appear in a split second at 12 seconds in. I can only assume that this layer is being copy and pasted onto the time-lapse canvas. So here is a GIF of them. It also just goes again from like flat colors like this to poof, all of a sudden there's already sketchy rendering appearing like in the next second. And to respect this document, I'm not gonna dig in more details about the inconsistencies of this speed paint stuff. So here, another artist in Discord is looking at the piece and they're like, yeah, assuming everything is super clean, it would take 4 paint bucket fills minimum for them to fill in the entire piece, not 1. Also, again, what is not possible because there's 4 separate colors used on the piece, right? User Misui has been caught tracing AI before and provided time lapses in other accounts that are now deleted. I will elaborate about other accounts in the next section. At first, they only provided work in progress screenshots, but since they kept getting caught in denying AI assistance, they're constantly upgrading their methods to refute claims about them using AI. This is just absurd to me because with all this effort they're putting into pretending they could draw by painting over AI, they could have just learned how to draw at this point. like genuinely. On their first account, Aqua, they posted a time lapse for the first time after people were raised concern about the artwork they posted being AI. The time lapse was eventually deleted, but there is a YouTube video talking about it and playing said time lapse. Dude, this is my, oh no, there's an ad. This is my YouTube video. This new Twitter artist was called out for using AI. I read through the doc like prior to this, and then I hit the point where they mentioned the name, and I was like, oh my god, I've talked about this person before, like one of their previous aliases. To back it up, it was this piece. And they posted a speed paint underneath in Clip Studio Paint Mobile, being like, this is all I could record. So we should have the speed paint sketch where they kind of sketch things out. And this is basically what they had. It was an incomplete speed paint, but their drawing process was really odd. So they add, here is a time lapse from one of their alt accounts foam. This time lapse is 30 seconds instead of the usual 60 seconds. Clip Studio Paint lets you pick between 4 lengths, 15, 30, 60, all. Do keep in mind once more that Clip Studio Paint allows you to hide layers. As of me writing this, the time lapse was deleted, but the artwork is still available. After all the time lapses in their old accounts, which they claim were evidence that they didn't use AI, were deleted, which again is always suspicious. Look, artists delete time lapses for different reasons. Sometimes it's because they're falsely being accused of AI, and this one video is like, you know, driving a lot of harassment towards them, and for peace of mind, they deleted it. If you have evidence that will refute the claims, that will prove you innocent, multiple pieces, you went and deleted all of them, that's a bit of a choice. Their newest time lapses started showing the techniques people point out were missing. More sketching drafts using the lasso tool and transforming and the liquefy tool. And the liquefy was one single click during the sketch. This is why I will not share exactly what else stands out between these. Uploaded between left to right, August 15th, 17th, and 19th. And all of them are 60 seconds long. The rendering for these are very interesting. And to respect the document, I'm not gonna comment as to why, but it is a choice that they're making in some things. Sorry, I'm just laughing because I'm like, oh, that's all I could say. And the doc continues, for those who are not artists or don't watch time lapses, here are a few samples by other artists shared with their permission. These are all 60-second Clip Studio Paint time lapses, converted to a GIF format. I do acknowledge the art process will vary per artist, but an individual artist will usually have a rather standardized process across all timelines. And honestly, looking at all of this, it looks really cool. It's like, I love looking at art speed paints and stuff like that. I used to have a YouTube channel where I would post them because they're just so satisfying to look at, and all these artists are so talented. But yeah, you can see with their art, there's definitely a process. The doc continues, I am shocked but not surprised at the length somebody would go to pretend they're not using AI. Whether or not you support or hate AI, somebody going to this extent to trick people is deplorable. There are tons of Twitter accounts already where they have a disclaimer in their bio telling people the art is a mix of AI and Photoshop. At this point, it would be so much easier to claim you are using AI. Misui keeps getting caught denying claims, fabricating proof, then deleting said proof and running away when the evidence becomes too overwhelming. This is not their first time doing this. They've made multiple accounts before. Because of that, I hope you understand I'm omitting some evidence that will be useful to find them once more when they inevitably make a new account. So why would I go this far to point out the person is using AI without disclosing it when there are so many other people seemingly doing the same thing? Same and the opposite reason as them. Because they're charging money for commissions without telling clients their artwork is AI. This is a scam. So here you can see the Misui account it has $200 scabs open. The Aqua account, which I've also made a video about, $300 for a skip. As you can see the graphic, it says, all details, outfit, and pose decided by me. And the graphic reads, no details because AI. Which, yeah, right? Because you're gonna get caught the moment somebody is like, yeah, can you draw me in this super complex, complicated outfit that AI cannot generate because it doesn't exist? So, multiple accounts linked to a single user. User Misui has posted AI in the past with the account name Foam, and before that as Aqua and Wowschi. I'll post public evidence below, but again, some info can't be made public in consideration to other parties that documented stuff as well. However, I've seen and confirmed claims myself. And the Foam account has no AI in their bio. So here are some images from the Foam account, and the doc reads, no art style consistency between images again. Gura is similar to Momoko Haru's art style. Their art is constantly stolen to train AI models. I believe these were less traced from scratch and just barely edited on top of the generated images. See Kira's eyes and the usual AI sloppy shading style. Oh yeah, what is happening over here? Very, very crunchy irises. And then the wobbly eye line here. Here you can see top and bottom, the Misui account, the Foam account, and the eyes look really similar. And they also add a link, read more about Foam here. So this is a post made by user Trash Account 65. Foam is a scammer who uploads traced AI art and has been harassing and threatening people. This is a resource to link back to as evidence. Please consider politely informing any VTubers or artists who interact with this account in the future. And it reads, Foam is an AI artist who is harassing and scamming people. They trace AI. And Foam has previously received and requested a community note claiming they were an alt of an AI account. In response, they hid any messages mentioning it and later deleted the artwork to hide it. The community note claimed that Foam is the AI artist Wasuchi and Aquao. This person has previously called out the other AI artists. Foam blocked them prior to the community note being requested. 2. Deleting stuff. Several posts have been deleted. They hide replies calling them out, block those accounts, and harass them on alts. They remove these staged time lapses after being called out and have the same art style as AI artists Aquao and Wasuchi, as well as the same technique used to fake time lapses. And here are the side by side for the eyes, which they look very similar in the styling. Possible AI artifact in deleted Fuao art. This account has called out the original AI artist a while ago, and they've seen both time lapses, noting the issues and similarities. And the account is named Wasuchi Exposed, never redoing any lines, never using the transform tool, only flipping the canvas at the very end when you're already way past sketching. Threats, harassment, and being a creep. It alleges that one of the VTubers who commissioned Foam likely has to file a chargeback because Foam is ghosting them, but it adds that they were unable to charge back. And then Foam found the person who posted the community note and harassed them with emails and alt accounts. An alleged alt account is an account by the name of Bubble Efi, which was created around the same time Foam started uploading art, March 2025. And this account is often rushing to their defense and replies, retweeting their art and harassing people. So their first post was April 16th in response to somebody calling Foam out, stating, yeah, this is ridiculous. And here are some other comments. 2 days later, that Bubble account says, your art isn't getting flagged because it's nowhere near the level of artists like Foam. That's not to be rude, but it's obvious that you're still a beginner intermediate. She posted a speed paint, so stop hurling accusations. Bro, you got 1 like on this. Maybe you shouldn't falsely accuse every artist who's better than you of AI. Only 4 likes on this trend. Maybe if you practice drawing more, you would get more likes and you wouldn't have to resort to accusing real artists of AI with your scoundrel methods. 8 likes and 2 retweets, you're so obviously desperate for clout, so you accuse every better artist than you of being AI. Those ones all were posted the same day, by the way. So Foam offered to send files for verification, and then made excuses, then claimed they merged all the layers and overpainted on top of it, which is sus. And then here are some DMs where they say, I'm gonna find where you live and give you a big hug because you're cute. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Would you like that, cutie? Hey, serious question, are you a girl or a boy? And Sierra notes, they didn't send any art files. Foam is manipulative, they often come off as reasonable and polite, but they lie a lot, then switch to the sort of childish behavior. And last piece of evidence, AI detection sites aren't 100% accurate. However, every single piece of this person's art comes back as 99% stable diffusion usage, and one at 97%. That doesn't happen to legit artists. And it adds that each of these on its own is not evidence for AI, but combined together, it's very suspicious. So back to this document, now we're on to more info about Aquao and Wasuchi. I'll have the YouTube video that I made about all of this linked down below, but I do go over a lot of the art pieces as to why it's so odd. Here are some example pieces from the Aquao account with like super warp stuff happening in the background, missing all the buttons. Again, I don't know what in the grommets is happening with this piece. One other thing pointed out is a similar typing style. They do have a very similar typing style of like writing, space, punctuation, space. The doc continues, I'll try to make it clear here why all the accounts above, Wasuchi, Aquao, Foam, and Misui are all the same person. After being called out for AI, Aquao nuked their account and changed their username to user 19300188392, but you can still find the old tweets from people who replied if you look up their old username. These are responses to a free art tweet. And you can see here are some responses. So here are some odd elements in Aqua's art. And then the doc continues, Aqua's account was created June 2024, the same month Wasuchi's account was created. Wasuchi's account is deactivated now, but the screenshots were grabbed from a user, Artie Doko, where you can see Aqua and Wasuchi both joined June 2024. Now, this is interesting. The image above was posted by Wasuchi, but sourced to an Aqua tweet. So here you can see the source is Aqua for this piece. But then here, in this image, it was posted by Wasuchi, but sourced to Aqua tweet on Dambaru. And as you can see, the source was Aqua. Here is a post credited to Wasuchi, as you can see here. Look at the eyes. User Foam denied being related to Wasuchi and Aqua. Their account was made October 2023, the Foam account. But their first recorded, now deleted artwork was posted in 2025, according to Dambaru. So here, Foam made a tweet denying the fact they're related to Wasuchi and Aqua. They said, the literal content of the note stated, I was a rebrand of AI artist Wasuchi. I did some digging and they changed their user from Aqua to hide AI. This is their art link below. Like, can we be so for real? First of all, they can't even post a full speed paint for the life of them, while I have. Secondly, our art styles don't even look remotely alike. Whereas here you look across the board, Foam's eyes versus Aqua's eyes versus Misui's eyes, they do look really similar. The doc adds a timeline. Foam joined Twitter October 2023. Misui joined Twitter November 2023. Misui started posting the beginning of January 2024 and went active June 2024. Foam starts posting April 2025. Foam stopped being active June 2025. Misui returns August 2025. And the doc adds, okay, they are all connected. But were they also using AI? Yes. I'm not sure at what point they switched from generating AI and repainting it to tracing from the AI or both. From my own observation, it seems they switch back and forth from these methods, but now they stick to tracing so they can deceive people with time lapses. And here you can see some of Aqua's art versus Foam's art. And the doc adds very impressive 7-month improvement. But wait, Foam claimed they are not related to Aqua. Anyways, let's zoom in a bit more. Nah, these look so similar. So this was something posted by Aqua, October 2024, posted by Foam, April 2025, posted by Misui, August 2025. And the doc adds, if you somehow still have doubts, let me share another Aqua, totally not AI art from October 2024. And you can see there is a piece here. And then they add the same month the pics below were drawn. And they're two very anime-esque pieces. Maybe they just mastered both drawing moe anime girls and semi-realistic men at the same time. Dubious commission updates. So I will tell you the reason I made this godforsaken doc at 4 a.m. in the morning. I stumbled upon this person's account on my feed a couple days ago, and I was willing to let it go because AI usually finds its way to my feed pretty often, and I'm happy to block and move on. I made a whiny, vague post without naming them because I didn't want drama. I was ready to leave it at that, but they're getting commissions from people who don't know better and have now upped their price to $200. On their profile, you can read they were taking Skeb commissions for $100 and hours later increased it to $150. Wow. And you can see it's pretty close because their follower count is pretty similar between these two screenshots. And according to the doc, these posts are one August 15th at 12 a.m., August 15th at 4 p.m. So 16 hours later. Then August 16th, they closed commissions. And then August 17th, they increased the price to $200. And remember, on the Aqua accounts, they were taking commissions for $300. And as of the $200 update, they were only accepting friends and family for commission payments. With the price update, they've updated their payment method to friends and family. It's a huge red flag as friends and family transactions don't offer buyer protection and can't be disputed. Any reputable artist knows to never charge clients with this method. This also is against PayPal's own TOS and can get you flagged and suspended. Friends and family methods basically don't offer payment protection. And the doc adds this isn't the first time somebody tried to pass off Gen AI as their own art to try to take commissions. Haku Yan tried doing this. I also talked about this as well. I'll have the video linked down below. This one was wild. The client asked, hey, can I see the Photoshop files? They sent the Photoshop files. I forgot to delete the AI image out of it. And that was after the client was really frustrated because they were like, hey, I want you to change this or that. And they were like very reasonable changes, but the artist just couldn't do it for some reason. And it was because they generated it with AI. So adding those specific changes, AI couldn't do it. And the doc adds, below are AI generated images from accounts. So hopefully you can understand why I'm cynical about new artists popping up out of nowhere with seemingly skilled art. Do you see what I mean though? Like, again, we have the face absolutely not matching the skin tone. When confronted about AI, Misui pretends to be oblivious. They're actively looking for ways to deceive people better by asking how exactly somebody can tell their art is AI. This is why I didn't bring up all possible red flags in the doc. So here, Misui says, Photoshop files can be provided from my artwork. Just ask, which Sierra had asked and didn't get it. And moreover, I've recorded a time-lapse of my most recent pieces, which in my opinion is not very indicative of AI. I'm probably overthinking this, but this is just a weird statement to say. That's like me being like, here's the CCTV footage from last night, which in my opinion pretty much shows that I didn't murder somebody. Like, if you're innocent, I feel like you just wouldn't talk like this. Another commenter says, this is like a Twitter message. Hello, please tell me if you have proof that Foam is using AI assistants. I follow them for a long time and I enjoy their art and support them against haters. However, if there's sufficient proof, I must avoid them. Similarly, their alts deny using AI. When they share proof, they proceed to delete it. If said proof was solid evidence of them not using AI, they would not be deleting it. Here are a whole bunch of messages of them denying it. And it says evidence of images that were deleted by them. Their profile photo, which is this piece, you can see exact matches for the Misui accounts. More pieces that were deleted. And the doc adds, Twitter user Misui, providing clear evidence that you are not using AI is very simple if you know what you're doing, and dismissing claims right away only makes you look more suspicious. I am willing to retract these claims if you provide further proof to me. But with all the evidence above, I find it hard to believe you're not. If you've given up on drawing things all by yourself and don't want to stop using AI, disclose it publicly so you're not tricking people who don't know better. And the doc continues, who those are often commissioning artists, please be careful in the future. If something looks suspicious, ask a friend or an artist you know for help. At the same time, please don't go around accusing people of AI without solid proof. Little errors could be normal. An art style that looks AI could be because AI was trained with similar styles. A new artist with no track record posting flawless art is suspicious, but not enough evidence to call them out. Although recent account date and no previous history is strong evidence, a veteran artist or somebody with an account made before 2022 could just start using AI at a later point without telling their followers. In case pro AI Reddit keyboard warriors are reading this is not about me hating AI art. It's about deception, dishonesty, and fraud. If you are tracing or painting over AI, you should let people know. Some people don't care, some people don't want to support it. By not telling people you use AI, you're faking your skill capabilities. Ends with what people imagine when they think about AI art. Left, we have the old AI art that looks very obvious. And on the right is what AI art looks like in 2025. Do you see what I mean though? Like the face never matches the body and skin tone, like rarely. Even in the old AI models, the face is way paler than the body. Here, the face is like a completely different skin tone than the body. That's just something I've noticed with these like AI pieces. And again, I don't even mean like, oh, you know, the neck is in shadow. Like if you compare her face to her chest, it's just not the same. And the other accounts are gone, but the foam account actually still exists. Again, no AI in the bio, and we have a bunch of pieces posted by this account. It's very interesting because if you look at their posts, the amount of comments they get relative to the amount of likes is very little. 19,000 likes, only 23 comments. 26,000 likes, only 53 comments. 6.1 thousand likes, 3 comments. That doesn't mean you use AI, but there's definitely heavy comment filtering happening. I do think some of the pieces, again, are a bit interesting because again, it's showing a bit of inconsistency that could be human error, could be AI. I'm just going to use this piece here as an example, right? AI is not great with lighting. The character looks very top front lit, right? From the front, kind of higher up, because the hair is very well lit. The shadow is completely on the left side. And the shadow would only really be present here if she's lit hard from the right to get a shadow like this. If she was lit like this, the shadow should be behind her. This way. Again, we have like clothing inconsistencies here, right? We have clothing. She's got, you know, a white button down on that's, you know, unbuttoned to show a fair amount of cleavage. There's no matching buttonhole on the other side. And the shirt lapels don't match left or right. We have like a little cutout here for the lapel, like the same on this side. It's just odd. Some swirly hair stuff happening over here. And then again, we have the double eyeliner, which some people have like double, triple eyelids. AI will tend to do that. I don't know why, but it does. And then we have this piece where a lot of the comments are kind of calling them out for AI. This is giving very AI to me. I'll just point out one thing that's a bit odd in this piece is the fact that like they're wearing a cow headband, which is super cute. Why is there like teal on the cow ears? It could be a design choice. It's just a bit interesting because the teal is suspiciously similar to the undercolor of the hair, which is also teal, but it doesn't make sense. Right? It's not backlit in any way because this character's against white. Also because there's no other blue or teal rim lighting except on the ears. Just doesn't seem like a choice a human would make when it comes to drawing this. So either this is Aqua Wasuchi Misui's 4th account foam, or it could also be like maybe somebody else just completely using AI. But honestly, it's like wild to see this come full circle. You're actively scamming people by claiming you didn't use AI but putting no AI on my bio. Oh, I didn't use AI. Look at my speed paint. I swear it's legitimate. And then you're selling commissions for like hundreds of dollars. And people are buying it thinking you're a legit artist and you're not. That is the issue that I have with this. So it's an absolute scam. And thank you, Teru, for putting in so much effort to compile this document together. This document was very, very, very well put together, very well informed, and linked all the sources. I'll have the document linked down below and Teru's tweet for you to go check the doc out yourself if you would like. Don't send hate to any parties involved, okay? But what are your thoughts on this entire situation of this artist who's been called out before doing this behavior again? Just a to me. But if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art for streamers and creators like emotes there, and my coffee with free resources for streamers and creators. You guys have really been saying you want longer videos again, and I want to make longer videos for you. I've just been traveling a lot, So when I have time to sit down, I can finally record a longer piece. So I am equally as excited that this longer piece is coming out. So yeah. And don't forget to check me out on Twitch. I do stream there 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. And I hope to catch you guys in my Twitch stream or in this video about Aqua, the one I made previously, where you can see all these stuff that we've called them out before. They just came back doing it again, I guess.